The social construction of the immoral black mother, community policing, and the effects on youth violence. Can you identify the thesis, method, and population? The thesis would be black women as mothers have been stereotyped as incompetent and or domineering. The method would be the life history method was used to gather information about stigmatized, uncomfortable, or difficult circumstances in the subject's lives. The population is the interview was drawn from populations of black women whose children were involved in or at serious risk of experiencing or witnessing violence in the private or public spheres of their lives. 24 women agreed to participate, ranging from the ages of 19 years old to 69 years old. Theme 1 would be the diminished ability to parent due to limited economic and social supports within the context of urban decay. Within urban decay, doing the right thing for your children does not work. What are the social conditions that led black mothers to marginalized positions? Economy, infrastructure, education, and policing. Women observed and concluded that doing the right thing for your children was not necessarily working for them as members of a marginalized group. So women, part of this group, repeatedly failed and fell outside of society's parameters of goodness or fairness. The household composition changes frequently, and women losing their jobs and only being marginally employed. Theme 2 will be the constant fear of losing children to public agencies. The state is raising our children, and as far as I can see, they are not doing a very good job. Mothers are running from social workers, probation officers, and CPS. How does policing black mothers hinder their ability to parent? Because of this, the women have the constant thinking their job as mothers has therefore become to keep running from child protection, from truant and probation officers, social workers, and the like who are trying to take our kids from us. Black women are being surveilled and monitored in their domestic activities as mothers. There is increased public anxiety related to the safety of their children. Women who are in more trouble face increased jeopardy themselves because children act out when the authorities are watching. Theme 3 would be the fear of abuse and injury. A combined mistrust of outside agencies, community loyalty, and the subjective desire to enact some degree of agency in their family and community. How does a combination of policing combined with violence dramatically impact mothers' lives, young black men's lives, and young black women's lives? The continued attempt to enhance the safety of their children is a considerable risk of violence the women themselves face. The intersection of social problems and black mothering, which is theme 4, generalized culturally constructed loyalty to black men. What is the rhetoric surrounding young black men? How is this harmful to young black men? How is this harmful to young women? Women are at risk because they are women and mothers. The block is dangerous for all community members. Almost half of the reported cases, the women were injured by young men when they tried to protect their children. The assaults usually involved a weapon. Lastly, theme 5, involvement in prevention initiatives and community activism. Juxtapose the history of black women's community involvement with their experiences of powerlessness, sense of failure, and increased risk of harm. The literature can conclude that black women's community work has been an important source of empowerment and expression of agency. Women's account of their actual experiences were full of powerlessness, sense of failure, increased risk of injury, and fear of their safety, and renewed pessimism regarding their ability to accomplish. What has historically been a source of liberation for black women has become, in the face of these contemporary problems. Women were convinced to report their children's criminal activities in exchange for some help or leniency. Some decaying community impacts have been that mothers can't get full services or resources due to cutback issues, for example, hospitals, libraries, and businesses. Metal detectors get put around community places, which makes them feel like criminals, as if they lived in a prison. Public transportation isn't available because of the environment they live in. The public transportation stopped going to their communities and stopped passing by and will take different routes, being limited to what they have or can have to help raise children. The ways mothers feel powerless have been mothers don't feel like they're in control of their kids. They always feel like they're under surveillance or monitored. Besides that, they always have to be behind their children at all times to make sure they stay out of trouble before police authorities catch them. And lastly, they feel powerless when society is always bashing them for not being able to keep their kids safe. These mothers explain how they went through poverty, but the poverty that their children experience is different, and this is how they're different. The poverty the children face now is different due to the new aspects that go on through the community. The children have to deal with more aggressive and unfriendly public opinions every day. They have more prolonged feelings of hopelessness due to society's expectations. They have to deal with extreme violence occurring in the environment. And mothers have to deal with the fact that their kids might have a lot of losses of friends and family due to violence. Because of all this, mothers and kids feel unprepared for such tragic events that could happen. These are some thinking questions for this topic. Was the population a diverse group? If it was, who was involved? If not, who was the population mainly focused on? The second one, how does society view Black women mothering skills? Third, what are some of the main impacts that the economic and social society create for mothers? Fourth, how would you describe the feelings and emotions these mothers have to go through while raising their children? And 5, why are mothers always worried that public agencies might want to take their kids? And the discussion questions for this would be, can you identify the thesis, method, and population? According to the women Richie interviewed, how does living in decaying urban community complicate mothering? Why do many of the black women Richie interviewed feel powerless as mothers? And lastly, how does the poverty these women experience differ from the poverty that their children face?